Commander Hyunwoo Park stood on the bridge of the starship New Seoul and watched the stars dance outside the wide windows. He had been in space for 6 months now, leading humanity's first real mission to find new friends among the stars. The year was 2157, and Earth had finally built ships fast enough to reach distant worlds. "Sir, we're getting close to the Kepler system," said Lieutenant Dong-ho Lee from his seat at the weapons station. Dong-ho was young but smart, and Hyunwoo trusted him completely. "Good. Dr. Kim, what do your readings show?" Hyunwoo turned to look at the ship's science officer. Dr. Soo-jin Kim was bent over her computer, her black hair falling across her face as she studied the data. "The system looks peaceful, Commander. 3 planets, 2 of them might have life. I'm seeing some strange energy readings from the outer planet, but nothing dangerous," Soo-jin said, looking up with bright eyes. She loved discovering new things, and this mission was like a dream for her. Ensign Mi-young Choi spoke from the communication station. "Sir, I'm picking up radio signals. They're not natural. Someone lives out here." Hyunwoo felt his heart beat faster. This was what they had hoped for. After years of searching, humanity had finally found other intelligent life in the universe. "Can you understand the signals?" "Working on it, sir. The computer is trying to find patterns." Mi-young's fingers moved quickly over her controls. She was the best at languages that Hyunwoo had ever seen. The New Seoul moved deeper into the system. It was humanity's finest ship, built with the best technology Earth could make. The crew of 200 people represented the best and brightest from every nation on Earth. They carried messages of peace and friendship from all of humanity. "Commander," Soo-jin called out, her voice suddenly worried. "I'm seeing much bigger energy readings now. Really big, and they're moving toward us." Before Hyunwoo could answer, the space around them filled with light. Massive ships appeared as if from nowhere, each one 10 times bigger than the New Seoul. They were dark and sharp like giant knives floating in space. "Alert! Unknown ships are surrounding us," Dong-ho called out, his hands moving to the weapon controls. "Wait," Hyunwoo said, raising his hand. "Mi-young, send them our friendship message." "All languages." Mi-young sent the message that had taken Earth's best minds 2 years to write. It explained that humans came in peace, wanted to trade and learn, and meant no harm to anyone. The answer came quickly. Not in words, but in weapons fire. The first blast hit the New Seoul's shield and made the whole ship shake. Hyunwoo grabbed his chair to keep from falling. "All hands battle stations?" "This is not a drill." "They're jamming our communications," Mi-young said, fear clear in her voice. "I can't reach Earth." More blast hit the ship. The lights flickered and alarms started ringing. Dong-ho fired back with everything the New Seoul had, but their weapons barely scratched the alien ships. "We can't win this fight," Dong-ho said. "There are too many of them and they're too strong." "Then we run," Hyunwoo said. "Get us out of here." Maximum speed. The New Seoul turned and raced away from the alien ships, but the aliens followed, their weapons reaching across space to hit the human ship again and again. "Hull damage on decks 5 and 7, called out the engineer. "We're losing power." "Sir," Soo-jin said, looking at her readings with horror. "These aliens, they're not just chasing us. They're sending ships toward Earth. Hundreds of ships, maybe thousands." Hyunwoo felt ice in his stomach. "How long until they reach Earth?" "At their speed, maybe 2 days. We have to warn them," Hyunwoo said. Mi-young, boost all power to communications. "We need to get a message through." "I'm trying, sir, but they're still jamming us." The New Seoul shook again under alien fire. Systems failed one by one, but Mi-young kept working, trying everything she knew to break through the alien jamming. Finally, she got a weak signal through. "Earth Control, this is New Seoul. We are under attack. Repeat, we are under attack by hostile aliens. They are sending a large fleet toward Earth. Prepare defenses immediately." The signal cut out as another blast hit their communications dish. 2 days later, the crew of the New Seoul watched in horror as the alien fleet reached Earth. From their hiding place behind a small moon, they saw the attack begin. The aliens, who called themselves the Vorthak, showed no mercy. Their ships surrounded Earth and began firing on every major city. Seoul disappeared in a ball of fire that could be seen from space. New York's tall buildings melted like ice cream. London burned for 3 days. "My God," whispered Soo-jin, tears running down her face. "They're killing everyone." The attack went on for weeks. Every time humans tried to fight back, the aliens crushed them easily. Earth's space fleet was destroyed in the first hour. The armies on the ground lasted longer but could not stop weapons that came from the sky. Hyunwoo and his crew could only watch and record everything. Their ship was too damaged to fight and too slow to help. All they could do was hide and hope. The last message from Earth came from General So Young-yoon, speaking from somewhere underground. Her voice was calm but sad. To any human still alive out there, remember us. Remember what they did to our world, and someday make them pay for it. Then the signals from Earth stopped completely. The Vorthak had won. In just 3 weeks, they had destroyed most of humanity. 3 billion people were dead. The beautiful blue planet that had been humanity's home was now a burned and broken world under alien control. But some humans were still alive. In underground cities, in space stations, in mining colonies on distant asteroids, and on one damaged ship hiding behind a moon, Commander Hyunwoo Park and his crew began to plan. They think they've won, Hyunwoo said, looking out at the stars. They think humans are finished. But they're wrong. We're still here, and we're going to make sure they regret what they did to our world. The war between humanity and the Vorthak had begun. The aliens had fired the first shot and burned Earth's cities. But someday, humans would fire the last shot. The crew of the New Soul started their long journey to find other human survivors. They had work to do. 5 years had passed since the Vorthak burned Earth's cities. Dr. Jin-ho, Nam crouched in the darkness of an old subway tunnel beneath what used to be Seoul. The tunnel was now home to 300 survivors who lived like rats in the shadows. Jin-ho had been a professor at Seoul National University before the attack. He taught history and thought the biggest problem in his life was grading papers from lazy students. Now he led a group of fighters who risked their lives every night to steal food and weapons from the aliens. "Papa, the patrol is coming back," whispered his daughter Yoonji. She was 25 years old and had become one of their best fighters. Before the war, she had been studying to be a doctor. Now she knew more about killing aliens than saving lives. Jin-ho moved quietly through the tunnel to meet the returning scouts. They brought back 3 alien energy rifles and bad news. "The Vorthak are building something big near the old airport," said Taemin, one of the scouts. "Lots of machines, lots of guards. They're digging deep into the ground. Probably mining," Jin-ho said. "They're stealing everything from our planet. Metal, water, even the air. Above ground, Earth was dying. The Vorthak had built factories everywhere, turning the beautiful planet into an ugly machine that served only them. They treated humans like animals, hunting them for sport or capturing them to work as slaves in their mines. But the aliens had made one big mistake. They thought humans would give up and die quietly. They didn't understand that humans got stronger when things got worse. Far from Earth, in the asteroid belt, Admiral Woo Jin Kang was building something the Vorthak never expected. Hidden inside a hollow asteroid, human engineers worked day and night to build a new fleet. "Dr. Shin, how are the new engines coming along?" Woo Jin asked as he walked through the secret shipyard. Dr. Haiwan Shin looked up from her work. She was covered in grease and had not slept in 2 days, but her eyes were bright with excitement. "Better than we hoped, Admiral. We've been studying the alien technology we captured. Their ships are fast, but their engines are not very smart. We can make them better. Better how? Human engines learn and adapt. Alien engines just follow orders. In a long fight, our ships will get faster while theirs stay the same." Woo Jin smiled. This was exactly what he wanted to hear. The human fleet was still small, but it was getting better every day. More importantly, it was getting smarter. Back on Earth, Eunji led her team through the ruins of downtown Seoul. They moved like ghosts between the broken buildings, avoiding the alien patrols that hunted humans every night. "There," she whispered, pointing to a Vorthak supply truck. 3 guards, 1 driver. "We take it fast and quiet." Her team spread out around the truck. They had done this many times before. The aliens were strong and had better weapons, but they were not very smart about fighting humans. They expected humans to fight like the other species they had conquered, following rules and patterns. Humans did not follow rules when they were fighting for their lives. Yoonji's team struck like lightning. They took out the guards before the aliens could sound an alarm, captured the truck full of supplies, and disappeared back into the ruins. The whole fight lasted less than 2 minutes. "Good work," Yoonji told her team as they drove the stolen truck to their hideout. "But stay alert. The aliens are getting smarter, too." She was right. The Vorthak were starting to understand that humans were different from other species they had conquered. Most species gave up after losing their home planet. Humans just got angrier. Admiral Kethvar stood on the command deck of his flagship, looking down at the blue and brown planet below. Earth was almost ready to be fully strip-mined. Soon the Vorthak Empire would add its resources to their growing collection of dead worlds. "Commander, what is the status of the human resistance?" he asked his second-in-command. "Still active, Admiral. We estimate about 2 billion humans remain alive, most of them hiding underground or in their outer colonies. They continue to attack our supply lines and steal our equipment. Annoying pests," Kethvar growled. "Double the patrols. Kill any humans you find." But the humans were learning to hide better. In the deep tunnels beneath the old Korean DMZ, Jinho had built a command center that connected resistance groups all over the planet. They shared information, planned attacks, and slowly built up their strength. "We got word from the Australian group," reported Communication Officer Min Su. "They successfully raided 3 alien weapon depots last week. And the North American resistance? Still fighting. They've taken control of several underground cities. The aliens can't find them." Jinho studied the map on his wall. Red pins showed alien bases. Blue pins showed human hideouts. There were more blue pins every month. Humanity was not dying. It was spreading and growing stronger. In the asteroid belt, Admiral Wu Jin watched as the first ship of humanity's new fleet took its first test flight. The ship was small compared to Vorthak battleships, but it was fast and smart and mean. "What should we call it?" asked Dr. Shin. Wu Jin thought for a moment. "The Soul's Revenge," he said. "Let the aliens know we have not forgotten what they did to our city." The ship's engines glowed blue as it moved through space. Unlike alien ships, which moved in straight lines and predictable patterns, the Soul's Revenge danced and weaved like a living thing. Human pilots did not just fly their ships, they became one with them. More ships followed. The Busan's Pride, the Tokyo's Spirit, the New York's Fury. Each one was built with human creativity and alien technology, creating something new and dangerous. Back on Earth, the resistance was getting bolder. Yunji's team had grown from 5 people to 50. They no longer just stole supplies. They began attacking alien bases and freeing human prisoners. "Remember," Yunji told her fighters before a night mission, "we are not just fighting for ourselves. We are fighting for everyone who died in the first attack. We are fighting so that someday our children will be free." The mission was to attack an alien prison camp where humans were forced to work in the mines. It was dangerous, but they had to try. Too many humans were dying as slaves. The attack went perfectly. Yunji's team freed 200 prisoners and destroyed the alien mining equipment. But as they escaped, Yunji saw something that made her heart race with hope. In the sky above, moving between the stars, she saw lights that were not alien ships. The lights moved in patterns she recognized, human patterns, human tactics. Somewhere out in space, other humans were fighting back. "Papa," she said when she got back to the tunnel hideout, "I think our people in space are ready to come home." Jinho looked at his daughter and smiled for the first time in months. "Then we better get ready to help them. The real war is about to begin." Above them, hidden in the darkness, the Soul's Revenge and her sister ships began to move toward Earth. The humans were coming home, and they were bringing friends. 10 years after the Vorthak burned their cities, humanity was ready to fight back. Fleet Admiral Sungmin Oh stood in the command center of the battleship Phoenix Rising, looking at the holographic display that showed 12 different star systems. "All fleet commanders, this is Phoenix Rising," Sungmin spoke into his communication device. "Operation Phoenix begins in 30 minutes. Remember, we hit them everywhere at once. They think we are still hiding and crying. Today we show them how wrong they are." Across the galaxy, human ships moved into position. The fleet that Admiral Wu Jin had built in secret was now hundreds of ships strong. They were not as big as Vorthak battleships, but they were faster, smarter, and filled with very angry humans. Captain Taeho Lim commanded a squadron of 20 ships near Earth. His job was the most dangerous: attack the aliens who controlled humanity's home world. "All pilots, listen carefully," Taeho said to his squadron. "We are going to use the ruins of our own cities as cover. The aliens think those ruins are empty and harmless. They are wrong. Our people down there are going to help us, and together we will make the aliens pay." Down in the tunnels beneath Seoul, Yoonji Nam received the message she had been waiting for 10 years to hear. "All resistance groups, this is Fleet Command. The cavalry is coming. Prepare for simultaneous attack." Yoonji turned to her father Jin-ho, who was now 55 years old and gray-haired but still strong. "Papa, it's time." Jin-ho nodded and activated the hidden communication system he had spent years building. All across Earth, resistance groups got the same message. "Today we take back our world." The first attack came from space. Captain Taeho's squadron dropped out of hyperspace right on top of the alien fleet guarding Earth. The Vorthak were completely surprised. They expected humans to attack from far away like other species did. They did not expect humans to appear right next to them and start shooting immediately. "All ships target their command vessels," Taeho ordered. "Dr. Cho says if we cut off their heads, the rest will be confused." Dr. Jaewon Cho had spent years studying captured Vorthak soldiers. He learned that aliens followed orders without thinking. If their commanders died, the regular soldiers would not know what to do. The human ships danced around the big alien battleships like angry wasps. They were too small and fast for the alien weapons to hit easily, but their own weapons could punch holes in alien armor. On the ground, Yoonji led 300 fighters out of their tunnel hideout. For the first time in 10 years, humans walked openly in the streets of Seoul. They carried stolen alien weapons and 10 years of anger. There, Yoonji pointed to the alien command center that had been built on top of her old university. "We take that building and signal our ships where to strike." The battle for Seoul lasted 6 hours. Humans attacked from underground tunnels, from ruined buildings, and from the sky. The aliens had superior weapons, but they did not understand urban warfare. They did not know how to fight an enemy that could disappear into the ruins and reappear anywhere. Commander Yuri Park flew her fighter through the wreckage of downtown Seoul. She was Hyun-woo Park's daughter. Born in space during the long years of exile, she had never seen Earth before, but she fought for it like it was her own home. "This is Falcon Leader," she reported to Captain Taeho. "The ground teams have marked the target. Beginning attack run." Yuri's fighter squadron used new tactics that no alien had ever seen before. Instead of flying in formation like good soldiers, they attacked like a swarm of angry bees. Each pilot moved independently, striking from different directions, making it impossible for the aliens to predict where the next attack would come from. The alien command center exploded in a ball of fire. All across the city, alien soldiers looked around in confusion. Without orders from their commanders, they did not know what to do. "This is Ground Team Leader," Yoonji reported. "Enemy resistance is collapsing. Seoul is ours." But the victory in Seoul was just one part of Operation Phoenix. All across the galaxy, human fleets struck at alien bases and supply lines. The Vorthak Empire, which had ruled this part of space for 1,000 years, was under attack everywhere at once. Admiral Kethvar stood on his flagship bridge and watched the reports come in. Human attacks on 12 different systems. His supply bases burning. His patrol fleets destroyed or running away. "How is this possible?" he demanded. "These humans are a defeated species. They should be hiding in caves, not attacking us." "Admiral," his intelligence officer reported, "we have badly underestimated human capabilities. They have been studying our technology and making it better. Their ships are now superior to ours in many ways. Impossible. No species learns faster than the Vorthak. Sir, humans appear to learn faster than anyone we have ever encountered, and they do not follow standard military tactics. Our battle computers cannot predict their movements." This was humanity's greatest advantage. The Vorthak had conquered many species over the centuries. All of those species fought the same way, with discipline, following rules, trying to minimize casualties. Humans did not fight like that. They fought to win, no matter what it cost. Lieutenant Colonel Min-ho Bae led the attack on Busan, the coastal city that had been turned into an alien spaceport. His troops had spent months crawling through the city's drainage system, placing explosives under every alien building. "All teams, detonate on my mark," Min-ho spoke into his radio. 3, 2, 1, mark. Busan shook as 50 explosions went off at once. Every alien building in the city collapsed. The spaceport, which had taken the aliens 5 years to build, was destroyed in 5 minutes. "This is ground control," Min-ho reported to the fleet above. "Busan spaceport is down. You have a clear landing zone." Human dropships descended from space carrying supplies and reinforcements for the growing resistance. For the first time since the invasion, humans controlled a piece of Earth's surface. The psychological impact was huge. Humans across the galaxy heard that Busan was free, and they began to believe that victory was possible. Resistance groups on other occupied worlds became more aggressive. Alien supply lines came under constant attack, but the Vorthak were not finished. Admiral Kethvar pulled his fleets back to defensive positions and began planning a counterattack. "These humans fight without honor," he told his officers. "They hide in shadows and strike like cowards, but they are still weak. One massive blow will crush them." Kethvar did not understand that humans were not being cowardly. They were being smart. They knew they could not win a straight fight against the alien empire, so they refused to fight a straight fight. Instead, they used every advantage they had: speed, creativity, unpredictability, and pure stubborn determination. As the news of humanity's victories spread, something unexpected happened. Other species that the Vorthak had conquered began to rebel. They had been watching the humans fight for 10 years, and now they believed that the mighty Vorthak could be defeated. "Admiral," Yuri reported from her fighter squadron, "we are receiving messages from alien worlds. 3 different species are asking for our help to overthrow their Vorthak rulers." Fleet Admiral Sungmin smiled. "Send them our friendship message. The one we tried to send 20 years ago. Maybe this time someone will listen." Humanity's war with the Vorthak was changing. It was no longer just about getting revenge for Earth. It was about freeing the entire galaxy from the aliens who had ruled it through fear for so long. The storm was rising, and at its center were the descendants of the people who had once lived in Earth's burned cities. They had learned to fight in the darkness, and now they were bringing light to the rest of the galaxy. 15 years had passed since the Vorthak first attacked Earth. Grand Admiral Jisoo Kang stood on the bridge of the massive battleship Terra's Wrath, watching as another alien world fell to human forces. She was young for an admiral, only 35, but she had grown up during the war and knew how to fight better than officers twice her age. "Report from the ground forces," called out her communication officer. "The capital city has surrendered. The Vorthak garrison is asking for terms." "Tell them the same terms they gave Earth," Jisoo replied coldly. "Unconditional surrender. Any Vorthak soldier who wants to live can lay down his weapons and go home. But this world now belongs to its original people." This was the 15th Vorthak world that humanity had liberated in the past year. What had started as a fight for survival had become something much bigger. A war to free every species the Vorthak had enslaved over their 1,000 years of empire. Ambassador. In-Suk Lee worked in the diplomatic section of Terra's Wrath. She had the difficult job of talking to alien species that had been slaves for so long they had forgotten how to be free. "The Kalari representatives are here to see you," her assistant informed. Her In-Suk met with 3 tall, blue-skinned aliens who looked nervous and afraid. The Kalari had been conquered by the Vorthak 300 years ago. Most of them had never known freedom. "We are grateful that you have driven away our oppressors," the lead Kalari said in halting human language. "But we do not understand what you want from us." "We want nothing," In-Suk said gently. "Your world is yours again. You can govern yourselves however you choose. But who will tell us what to do?" In-Suk realized how much damage the Vorthak had done. They had not just conquered these people's bodies, they had broken their spirits. "You will tell yourselves what to do. That is what freedom means." It would take time, but In-Suk was patient. She had helped 12 different species learn to be free again. Some learned quickly. Others needed years of help and encouragement. But all of them eventually remembered how to make their own choices. Meanwhile, General Kyung-Soo Yu was establishing forward operating bases deep in former Vorthak territory. His job was to build supply lines and communication networks that could support humanity's expanding war effort. "The new base on Kepler 438b is operational," reported his aide, Captain Bo-Ram Song. "We have supplies for 6 months and defensive positions that could hold off a major attack." "Good. What about recruitment from the local population?" "Better than expected, sir. The native species here, the Threxy, are eager to join our forces. They have been planning rebellion for decades but never had the weapons or training. This was happening all over the former Vorthak Empire. Species that had been conquered centuries ago were rising up, inspired by humanity's example. They brought local knowledge, resources, and most importantly, sheer numbers to the human cause. Back on Earth, the planet was healing. The Vorthak had been driven off 5 years ago, and humans were rebuilding their cities. But they were building them differently now, with underground shelters, defensive positions, and the kind of hidden passages that had saved so many lives during the occupation. Dr. Seo Jin Park worked in a laboratory built in the ruins of Old Seoul. She had been Dr. Soo Jin Kim's student before the war, and now she was humanity's leading expert on alien technology. Her current project was the most important thing she had ever worked on. The stellar defense grid is almost ready, she told the holographic image of Grand Admiral Jisoo. If the Vorthak try to use their planet-killer weapon, we can not only stop it, we can send the energy back at them. Are you sure it will work? I am sure it will work against their current technology, but they might have surprises we have not seen yet. The Vorthak did indeed have surprises. Admiral Kethvar had spent 3 years building a weapon that could destroy Earth's sun. If he could not rule the galaxy, he would make sure the humans could not either. Begin the final attack, Kethvar ordered from his command ship. Target the human star. When their sun dies, their spirit will break. The planet-killer weapon was a massive device that took energy from 100 Vorthak ships and focused it into a beam that could crack a star open. It had been used twice before to destroy rebellious worlds. Now it would destroy humanity's birthplace. But the Vorthak had made one crucial mistake. They still thought like conquerors, not like humans. They expected humans to defend Earth by putting ships between the weapon and their planet. Instead, Dr. Seojin's defense grid did something completely unexpected. It absorbed the planet killer's energy, stored it, and redirected it back toward its source. The beam that was meant to destroy Earth's sun instead struck the Vorthak homeworld. Admiral Kethvar watched in horror as his own weapon turned Vorth Prime into a ball of fire. The planet that had been the center of the Vorthak Empire for 1,000 years died in seconds. Impossible, he whispered. How did they? Sir, his science officer reported. The humans have somehow reversed our weapon. The energy feedback is destroying half our fleet. The psychological impact of Vorth Prime's destruction was devastating for the Vorthak Empire. Their homeworld was gone. Their greatest weapon had been turned against them. And everywhere they looked, former slave species were rising up to join the human alliance. This is Terra's wrath to all human forces, Grand Admiral Jisoo broadcast across the galaxy. The Vorthak homeworld has fallen. Their main fleet is scattered. Begin the final offensive. Human fleets that had been held in reserve now moved toward the last Vorthak strongholds. They were joined by ships from dozens of liberated species. The galaxy had not seen such a large alliance since before the Vorthak Empire began. Commander Yuri Park, now promoted to captain, led a mixed squadron of human fighters and alien ships toward the Vorthak's last major base. Her pilots included humans, Kalari, Threxy, and members of 6 other species. Remember, she told them over the radio, we are not here for revenge. We are here to end this war. Any Vorthak who surrenders will be treated fairly. Any who keep fighting will be stopped. The battle for the Vorthak's last stronghold lasted 3 days. The aliens fought desperately, knowing they had nowhere left to run, but they were outnumbered 10 to 1, and their enemies included many species they had oppressed for centuries. When the shooting finally stopped, the 1,000-year Vorthak Empire was finished. Some alien commanders escaped into deep space, but they controlled no worlds and commanded no armies. They had become the hunted instead of the hunters. In her quarters aboard Terra's Wrath, Grand Admiral Jisoo looked at reports from across the galaxy. 47 worlds had been liberated. 23 different species were now free. The galaxy was at peace for the first time in a millennium, but Jisoo knew the real work was just beginning. It was one thing to win a war. It was much harder to build a lasting peace. Admiral, her aide reported, representatives from the liberated worlds are asking about forming some kind of alliance. They want to make sure something like the Vorthak Empire never happens again. Jisoo nodded. Schedule a conference on Earth. It is time to build something better than an empire. It is time to build a family of free worlds. The war was ending, but humanity's greatest challenge was just beginning. They had learned how to fight in the darkness. Now they had to learn how to live in the light. 20 years had passed since the Vorthak first burned Earth's cities. Field Marshal Chung Ho Kim stood on a hill overlooking the last Vorthak fortress in the galaxy. The fortress was built on a dead moon orbiting a red star, and it contained the final remnants of what had once been the mightiest empire in known space. Final count shows 8,000 Vorthak soldiers inside, reported his aide, Major He Jin On. They have enough supplies for maybe 6 months. But they have civilians with them, families of the soldiers. Chang Ho nodded grimly. This was the decision that would define humanity forever. They could destroy the fortress easily with their ship's weapons. It would be quick and clean, but it would also make them exactly like the aliens who had burned their cities 20 years ago. Prepare for ground assault, Chang Ho ordered. No orbital bombardment. We do this the hard way. Inside the fortress, Admiral Kethvar looked at the human forces surrounding his last stronghold. He was old now, his scales gray with age and defeat. Around him, the final officers of the Vorthak Empire waited for his orders. Admiral, his aide asked, should we surrender? The humans have offered terms. Never, Kethvar snarled. Better to die with honor than live as prisoners of these animals. But not all the Vorthak felt the same way. Many of the younger officers had seen what humanity offered to species that surrendered. They had seen former enemies become allies, former slaves become partners. The human way was strange, but it was not cruel. Commander Hyunwoo Park, now 58 years old and wearing the scars of 2 decades of war, led the first assault team into the fortress. He moved slowly but steadily, his energy rifle ready. Behind him came soldiers from a dozen different worlds. Humans, Kalari, Threxy, and others who had all suffered under Vorthak rule. Remember the rules, Hyunwoo said over the radio. Any Vorthak who drops his weapon lives. Any civilian gets safe passage out. We are better than they were. The fighting inside the fortress was brutal but careful. Human soldiers took risks to avoid hitting civilians. They used stun weapons when possible. Lethal force only when necessary. It was harder and more dangerous than simply killing everyone. But it was right. Captain Yoon-ji Nam, now 45 and a veteran of countless battles, led her team through the fortress corridors. She had spent half her life fighting the Vorthak, but she felt no hatred now. Only sadness for all the death and destruction that could have been avoided. Movement ahead, called out Sergeant Tae Sung-wan. 3 Vorthak soldiers. They look like they want to surrender. The 3 aliens dropped their weapons and raised their hands in the universal gesture of surrender. They were young, probably not even born when the war began. Do you speak human language? Hyunji asked them. Yes, a little, one of them replied nervously. We do not want to fight anymore. Then you will not have to. Come with us. You are safe now. Similar scenes played out all over the fortress. Young Vorthak soldiers, tired of a war they had not started, chose surrender over pointless death. But the older officers, led by Kethvar, fought on. The final confrontation came in the fortress command center. Admiral Kethvar stood alone behind his command console, his personal guard dead around him. Facing him was Commander Hyunwoo Park, the human who had witnessed the very first Vorthak attack 20 years ago. So, Kethvar said in perfect human language, the prey has become the predator. You have won, human. Kill me and complete your revenge. I am not here for revenge, Hyunwoo replied calmly. I am here to end this war. Then you are a fool. My people will never accept human rule. We are a warrior race. We do not bow to inferior species. We do not want you to bow. We want you to be free. Kethvar laughed bitterly. Free? You destroy our empire, kill our people, and call it freedom? Your empire was built on the slavery and death of others. We destroyed that. But we do not want to enslave your people. We want them to join us as equals. For the first time in their conversation, Kethvar looked uncertain. Equals? You would treat Vorthak as equals after what we did to your world? That is what separates us from you, Hyunwoo said. We judge people by their actions, not their species. Any Vorthak who chooses peace will be welcomed. Any who choose war will be stopped. Kethvar stared at the human commander for a long moment. Then he slowly placed his weapon on the console and stepped back. I surrender, he said quietly. Not to you personally, but to the idea you represent. Perhaps there is another way. The formal surrender ceremony took place on Earth, in the rebuilt city of Seoul. Representatives from 47 different worlds gathered to witness the end of the Vorthak Empire and the birth of something new, the Terran Federation, but the most important moment came not during the ceremony, but afterwards. Private First Class Soo Young-nam, Yoonji's daughter and Jinho's granddaughter, was on guard duty at the ceremony. She was 20 years old and had never known a galaxy at war. As the last Vorthak weapon was powered down and placed in storage, Soo Young spoke into her communication device. Earth Control, this is ceremony security. The last hostile weapon has been deactivated. All Vorthak forces have surrendered. The war is officially over. Her words were broadcast across the galaxy. On 1,000 worlds, beings who had lived their entire lives under the shadow of war heard the news. The Vorthak Empire was finished. The galaxy was free, but the real victory was not military. It was moral. Humanity had faced the choice between becoming like their enemies or rising above them. They had chosen to rise. In the years that followed, former Vorthak worlds were rebuilt by cooperative effort. Humans worked alongside Vorthak, Kalari, Threxy, and dozens of other species to create something the galaxy had never seen. A government based on cooperation rather than domination. Admiral Kethvar spent his remaining years teaching at the rebuilt Seoul National University, where Dr. Jinho Nam had once been a professor. He taught courses on military history and strategy, helping young officers from many species understand how to prevent future wars. The humans taught me something I thought was impossible, he would tell his students. They taught me that strength and mercy are not opposites. The strongest thing you can do is show mercy to your defeated enemies. The Terran Federation grew to include hundreds of worlds and dozens of species. But it was not an empire. No world was forced to join. No species was enslaved. Each member world governed itself and contributed to the common defense and prosperity. Commander Hyunwoo Park lived to see his 80th birthday. He spent his final years on Earth, watching human children play with young Vorthak in the parks of New Seoul. The city had been rebuilt bigger and more beautiful than before, with monuments to honor both the human dead and the aliens who had chosen peace. The inscription on the largest monument read, "Their first shot burned our cities. Our last shot freed the galaxy, but perhaps the most important monument was smaller and simpler. In a quiet garden in the center of the city stood a statue of a young woman holding a rifle pointed at the ground. The plaque beneath it read, Private First Class Soo Young Nam. She fired the last shot of the war by choosing not to fire at all. The galaxy was free. The long darkness was over, and humanity had proven that the best victory of all was the one that turned enemies into friends. On distant worlds, where once Vorthak soldiers had hunted slaves, human teachers now worked alongside former enemies to educate children of a dozen species. Where once weapons factories had poisoned the air, gardens now grew food for everyone. The war between humanity and the Vorthak was over, but the peace they built together was just beginning, and in that peace, both species found something greater than either could have achieved through conquest. They found a family among the stars. The last shot of the war had indeed been fired by mankind. Not in anger but in hope, not to destroy but to create, not to end something but to begin something beautiful. And across the galaxy, the children of many worlds would grow up knowing that sometimes the strongest thing you can do is choose peace over vengeance, cooperation over domination, and hope over fear. The war was over. The future had begun,